Heather Mills McCartney has really upped the stakes in her divorce battle over the past few weeks. She's laid into the press and not had the kindest words to say about her estranged husband, Sir Paul McCartney. But today, it's back to the day job. She's launching a campaign to help reduce global warming by giving up meat and dairy products. I spoke to her just a few moments ago and began by asking her what evidence she had to back up the claim.
Well, the evidence isn't from me, it's from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, and I was very and sadly surprised to hear that this report from them, that 18% of global warming comes from livestock and deforestation as a whole. And this has been out for nearly a year.
How is that exactly? How can that be?
Well, over 70% of the Amazon rainforest is cut down to feed cattle, whether they're grazing or whether it's to grow grain. And, you know, it just has this huge contribution, 18% coming from this. And when you think that all global transport around the world does not equate to this amount, aeroplanes being 3%, yet nobody seems to want to talk about it. It's a bit like the faulty towers, you know, don't mention the meat. You know, people just don't want to face it.
Many people listening to you today will be surprised that you've chosen to talk out at this time about this. I mean, you've said you've been treated worse than a paedophile or a murderer by the press. Why do you still want to be in the press?
Well, I stayed out of the press for a year before I did the pig campaign, which was very successful with Viva. I went to the supermarket or to the park and was photographed, filmed and hounded and chased and had death threats against me by just keeping my head down. So my head down didn't quite work. So I have popped my head back up again to some of the tabloid media's dismay, but not to the campaigns that I'm involved in and not to the general public, who very obviously do care, who've signed our petition on uk.com.
Because Heather, I mean, because in terms of the media at the moment, I mean, every page seems to be filled more about your divorce. How close are you to settling it?
Well, it's not relevant. We're here, and I know you as a reporter care more about global warming and the planet than you do about my divorce. Many people in the country are going through a divorce, and ours is no different. It's a very difficult situation. But I'm here today on behalf of Viva to talk about global warming, and I think that any time and airtime should be used for that as a priority, and I'm sure you'll agree as a respected journalist that is what is the important issue. It's vital that
the newspaper column inches will still be so much about your personal life. Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better to perhaps raise these issues in a time with a television
company that reaches many more millions of people than tabloid journalists? And only if you feed them on your programme will they get more column inches. So that's why we're doing television, because it reaches many more people. The tabloid media are a tiny proportion of the country. We have over 60 million people that live in Britain.
All right, Heather.
And they basically look at television like yours to be informed and educated, and I'm sure you'll do that.
You've made your point that you don't want to talk about your divorce today, but when it is settled, will you talk about it, or will you only talk about the campaigns?
Column inches, so when you ask me about it, then that's what it fills. But if you ask me about the issue that we agreed to come on and talk about today, which is far more important, then that has the potential to reach more people.
But Heather, one day, when you are divorced, can you confirm that you will not talk about your marriage to Sir Paul McCartney, that you will only talk about global issues and things you care about?
Are you actually hearing me? We're here to talk about global warming, and that's far more important. And I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
All right, Heather, thank you. And we thank her likewise. Now,